My name's Ruth Badger. You may know me from The Apprentice or even Badger or Bust, but I actually own 2 companies that are trading right now. That means that I recruit on a weekly basis, but most importantly, I've been interviewed a fair few times as well. Now, my first advice comes from the heart. Please remember that a job is a two-way street. It's not just if the employer wants you, it's whether you want them. So in your interview, make sure you ask all the questions that you want to ask and it's the right job for you. Or you will be there for a few weeks or months and you'll leave and that won't look good on your CV. The first question I ask everybody as they walk into the interview is, how have you got here? Was it a good journey? Now, you might think that I'm being polite. What I'm actually looking for is if somebody turns around and said, it's an absolute nightmare, I've had to catch 2 trains and 1 bus, I know for a fact that they're going to be late to work on a regular occasion. Now, people read people. So from the moment you walk into your interview, positivity is the key. Now, when I begin the interview, it's very important because I ask you about you. I don't give you information about my company until I've heard about your skills. So, tell me what you're doing in your current role. What I'm looking for here is to listen to exactly what their job purpose is, what you do, how you do it, and most importantly, are you achieving? I'm looking for a really positive response. So many people who I interview will literally go, I do this, and stop speaking. I'm asking an open question so you can give me as much information as you feel relevant. Now, the good news is I get straight to the point very quickly. How much do you earn in your current position? The reason I actually address wage at the beginning is because right at the end of the interview, I will wrap everything up in one question. So when you're actually talking about your roles, tell your interviewer how much you're earning, what your salary is and what your OTE is and what your average earnings are in a year. That is very important for sales. Now, the dreaded question, your reason for leaving. Now, just so you know, I ask this on every job you have ever had. It's very important because the people who jump from job to job have got to justify it to me. Now, it's very, very important to get this answer right. Number 1, I'm looking for why you're leaving your current company. If you give a negative answer to this, it's going to be a black mark straight away. An acceptable answer to me is, I've actually reached my peak. I've gone to my boss and I've actually said to them, listen, I'm looking for more. What can you offer me? But at the moment, I'm just not getting it back. That shows me, as the interviewer, that you're looking for progression. Literally criticising your current company will not do you any good at all. Now, an extra special tip to somebody who's started a role within the last 6 months and is looking to leave already. You have one chance with me to say, I started the role, they've overpromised, it's not the job I thought it would be, and I'm leaving. Warning, if you've jumped jobs continually, that will not wash with anybody who interviews like me. A question you may be asked if you've just come back from travelling is exactly, why did you go away? A great answer for people who have been travelling is you need to use it for your own benefit. Somebody who has actually got the common sense to actually travel around the world means that they're independent, they can make their own decisions and they can plan. Remember this when you're talking to your next employer. I have employed hundreds of people who have just got back from travelling. They're more mature, they've actually got more experience of the real life, and that helps with whatever job you're doing. My favourite part of the interview, let's talk about performance. So, my first question is, how have you been performing against your targets? Now, when you're interviewed by somebody who is a salesperson, warning number 1, tell the truth. They will verify it. They will either verify it by references or verify it when you're actually working for them. Now, I've interviewed a lot of people in my career. When I look at them and say to them, what's your target this month? They will look anywhere except for in my eyes. People who are in a sales environment will know what their target is. Give clear, precise answers. Do not lie if you haven't hit your target. Because ultimately, if I say to you, what's your target this month? And you say, I need 10 sales. Okay, what have you done? Well, this month I've done 8 sales. Last month I did 12 and the month before I did 9. On the average, you are performing. So stand firm, give me the answers, and that will put you in the running for the job. My next question is, what can you actually bring to my company that I haven't already got? Now, this is a difficult question to answer. Why? Because you don't know what staff I've got. You haven't been out to my floor. You haven't met anybody else in the team. So how do you answer it? Well, it's easy. Tell me about you. If you can't sell yourself in an interview, who else is going to do it for you? Little facts are really, really important. You're a team player. You play sport. All the work experience you've had, talk me through it. Most importantly, evidence things. If somebody says to me, what can you bring to my company? Well, first of all, I've got a great attitude. You can tell that by the interview. I'm organised, I prioritise, and most importantly, I'm incredibly driven. Those are the answers that I'm looking for. Now, if you come in for a management position with me, I always ask you, right at the end of the hour, what do you think of me? The perfect answer to this is, well, I'm going to enjoy working with you. I've got relevant experience for the job. You're very direct, which actually means I know where I stand because you're my manager. That's what I want to be hearing, but there's a twist to this question. You see, if you're working for me as a manager, I need to know that you can make a good character judgment within an hour, because when you're interviewing for me, you're taking my stuff on. Now, working for me is a full-time job. So tell me, what are your normal working hours? This is a tricky one to answer, because what you don't want to be is part of the 9 to 5:30 brigade, especially in a sales environment. What you actually say is, I will work whatever necessary. At the moment, I do varied hours. If you're like me, I work between the hours of 8 and 8. And that means that I will adjust my timings to ensure that I hit my targets. That is perfection in an answer. If I think you're exaggerating the truth about the hours you work, I will turn around to you and say, give me your definition of commitment. Now, this is a big challenge because there could be one of many answers. What is your definition of commitment? Hitting every target you set for me? Or working as long as I need to hit every target you've set for me? That is the correct answer. Now, I have asked you your reason for leaving every job. So if you have jumped every 6 months, every year, every 2 years, this question is a certainty. So you change your job quite a lot. How can you convince me that you're going to stay working for me the longer than a year? The key to this answer is to tell the truth. I have changed jobs every 2.5 years since I've been 18 years old, but it's because of progression. That's a positive. Tell them that, but make sure they understand that you are willing to improve as part of your career. Now, the opposite. If you've jumped from job to job because you didn't like it or you didn't want to do it, that is not going to communicate well. So my answer to that would be very simple. Yes, I have changed jobs quite a lot, but I've never really found the job that suits me. The reason I'm here, the reason I want your job is because I actually think that this is the turning point in my career. I can guarantee to you that I will give you everything I need to in order to achieve. I'm looking for longevity. I'm not looking for a job anymore. I'm looking for a career. Perfection. This is one of my killer questions that I always deliver right at the end of the interview. Tell me about your biggest success. Now tell me about your biggest failure. I will cut through exactly what they're saying in order to get them on their biggest failure. The reason I do this isn't literally to listen to what their biggest success is or even their biggest failure. It's to understand if they can identify their own weaknesses. The volume of people that I interview, the moment I say, what's your biggest success, they go off on a tangent. The moment I cut through and say, what's your biggest failure? Oh, that's a good question. Now, if you ask me what my biggest success is, I can tell you. I know my biggest failure. I don't have to think about it. It will trip off the tongue. That's because I'm very aware of what I'm good at, but I'm very aware of what I'm not, which means I'm always looking to improve myself. That is something an employer will want to know.